G'day friends and fans, welcome to Dave Talks Off Ukraine War Update for the 23rd of September. I'm your host, the author, David Applegate, author of the books The Boyhood Arcade, Power Games, Into the Hellsbound, and The Erotic Tales from the Empire. Part 1's available on Amazon now. All my book links are in the link tree, so is my Patreon and other ways to support the channel, including buying my merch. Now, of course, the Ukraine war continues. There's a war of words. As you can see, the media, well, mostly does not, they're not open and transparent about the attacks of Russia or the attacks by Russia on Ukraine. They will report occasionally, but as you notice, look at the crop. It's a pretty big fire. What's on fire? They won't tell you. We know it's a warehouse of some kind, but that's about it. Ukraine keeps making excuses. We don't want to help the enemy. That's what they think of you, folks. I think you're the enemy. Because you don't think Russia has its own surveillance network? Now there's conflict on the buffer zone. No actual results. Artillery on and guide bombs on. Explosions report on Sumy and other areas of Ukraine, but again, no reports. What was hit? Ukraine will only tell you that civilians were killed, and it's getting tiring. Ukraine's story, why do people keep believing it? Why do people keep putting up with it? So the buffer zone is expanding here in the north. Russia's hold on Kupiansk continues to expand. Not by much, but they are taking more territory by the day. Though in some areas they are stalled. They've only made slight progress in the last week north of Lyman, in which they are now stalled. They made some progress east of Silvesk, with now, after months of being stalled, and now again they are stalled. They made small progress south of Silvesk. They, of course, most of this is to bring up artillery to fire rockets and missiles on this area, as Russia is stalled here. Although they've made some progress in the last two to 4 weeks, they have pretty much been slow compared to previous months. Now, the Russian Ministry of Defense, has stated offensive actions resulting in increased territory. Yes and no. It's the key areas that count. Most of the territorial gains they have is in less strategic areas with more open ground. And most of that is butting up to these fortress towns where they have to start digging in and dealing with. And Russia is dealing with the fact they are outnumbered by the Ukrainian defenders, which makes it strategically difficult for Russia. Russia may have a large army, but most of it is held in reserve. Only 700,000 are in Ukraine. Compare that to the 1.3 million in the Ukrainian armed forces in total. Now, there has been mostly sporadic fighting along multiple fronts. There's been some artillery exchanges. Mostly, however, Russia has resorted to mostly long-range rockets and the occasional missile and glide bombs on key positions to wear down the Ukrainians. Some places they've hit so many times you wonder if there's anything left. And the fact is, Russia only destroys the same few buildings over and over again. Most of the town is intact. Most of Zaporozhye is intact. After a year of shelling, you think most of Zaporozhye would be a wasteland like Bakhmut or Mykolaiv or any other city, even Odessa. But the majority of Odessa's untouched. It's mostly the same few areas that have hit, the same few warehouses, predominantly the airport, or the docks. That's about it. It is. Same with Mykolaiv. They only hit the same few areas, the same. Again, Ukraine is not open or transparent, and yet they're supposed to be defending democracy, which they're not. They are not a democracy. Russia has offered to resolve the conflict according to the UN Charter, but Russia's saying the obstacle is the Europeans' effort to basically give Ukraine everything they want. And they'll prolong the war. Canada is given more weapons. UK is talking about opening more factories. And I pointed out that the majority of nations support the principles of international law to end the conflict. Now, this is the whole problem of politics of tit for tat. Nobody sits down in the UN and does anything for right or wrong. They do everything for political points. And Russia's no better. But this whole notion of, well, we could have had a freeze on the battlefield. Could have basically gone. Remember, when there was a freeze on the battlefield, most of this was not in Russian hands. Russia hadn't butted up to the lineman area. This bulge. Again, there was these towns wouldn't be in Russian hands. Most of this wouldn't be in Russian hands. I think right through here, there'd be a lot that wouldn't be in Russian hands right now. And think, 3 months and 1,000 or so dead a week. Every week, the UN stalls, plays games. Every week that Keir Starmer every week that Zelensky holds out for security guarantees is more dead men. Because he doesn't pay the price. And until politicians pay the price, course, everybody wants Putin to pay a price, but never Zelensky. Oh no. There is a worship of that cretin that is beyond the pale. And most of it's just by NPCs who are just following orders blindly, without question, without asking why, repeating the same talking points. We are defending democracy. You point out Zelensky's not elected, and he goes, but he was. And Ukraine's constitution says you can't have an election during a war. Courts told him to stand down and hand over power to the parliament, and he didn't. The army backed Zelensky. That's a coup. Doesn't matter what you say. That's a coup. And Ukraine had a military coup. And Zelensky keeps appointing his buddies and friends and giving them ambassadorships after a while. He keeps rearranging the deck chairs. But ultimately, the Ukrainian people are getting sick of Zelensky. Now, according to reports, there was an internal conflict where 3 recruits were reportedly rescued by a group. About 10 men raided an army recruitment centre. Now, apparently this has been going on for some time. They were being attacked repeatedly. In February, a man was fatally shot. Sorry, a man fatally shot a service member who was escorting recruits, though the shooter was later caught, and so was one of the recruits. They were caught in a manhunt. But according to Ukraine's Centre for Countering Disinformation, the Ministry of Truth and Justice, the Ministry of Truth, comrades, alleged that some Ukrainians are tipping off the Russian military about enlistment centres. Actually, that turned out to be true. And so it's not disinformation. And yes, Russia has conducted long-range strikes on recruitment centres and post offices and parcel centres and drone assembly points. And some of them have come from information inside Ukraine. Some of it old videos, some of it obviously more updated surveillance. Now and again, there has been strikes on empty warehouses where they've smashed in roofs. But it's amazing when basically, so this big Russian bomb smashed in the roof, and that's about it. It didn't go off, and inside it's empty and looks all nice and clean. Now, I'm skeptical, but perhaps, and this has happened, I remember they were reading about incidents before where Russia dropped dummy guide bombs, smashing roofs in the Odessa? No, Dnipro. And this, of course, puzzled the Ukrainians. Well, I have a theory. See, Russia wanted to know which of the warehouses, these are drone assembly points. But to create panic, they smashed roofs and see which ones people run out of and take shelter from. The next day, they hit those same warehouses with a all-left missile. I think it's the only time the biggest non-nuclear weapon has been used. So don't think for a moment that the things that don't make sense now make sense later. But definitely there are internal problems in Ukraine which are not being reported by Western media. Now, most of the missiles are does it say? Yeah. They target what they call storage sites, particularly unmanned aerial vehicles. I was hoping which missile is this? Yeah, but then they go on to, defensive actions, liberations. Yeah, there's been a number of towns in the last week that the Russia's taken, inflicted various losses. But you see, it's only a couple of tanks a day, mostly motor vehicles. The Ukrainians are down to... Russia has targeted large car parks because they're used by Ukrainian military. There's hardly any civilian movement in Ukraine. Most of these missile strikes, these are intermediate missiles. And again, most of these missiles, although usually shot in pairs, are about enough to take out your average warehouse. That's about it. Or a house, or, they'll severely damage an apartment building. Russian missiles are not as accurate as Russia would like, but they're more accurate than, say, than the average news outlet would have you believe. But still, what's the GPS accuracy? About a meter or so? And the Russians about 2.5. So, yeah, sometimes they may land in the car park. Sometimes, of course, they're shot down. But don't forget, one of the reasons why they are limiting the Iskander M. This is what do you call it? Training. Training drills in the Baltic for the Baltic Fleet. Yeah. But don't forget, most of the missile, that's the launch stage, and that's the cruising stage. Just basically the warhead. Most of the missile is fuel. Got a long way to go at high speed. It's going to burn most of its fuel, get there. But still, sending a missile saves lives than a bomber. We just saw during World War II how many bombers they would send daily. And still, you think how many bombers the British and how many bombs America dropped on, British and Americans dropped on Germany, and Germany still managed its war production. So you can imagine Ukraine, a comparable sized country with comparable population of, well, actually no. Ukraine's population is less than wartime Germany, but still high production compared. And don't forget, they're also backed by all the European nations, so their production should be at least that of wartime Germany, which it's not. It's less than half that of wartime Germany, according to some estimates. Others put it much worse. Russia's not anywhere. Russia's production is high. See, Russia is, and Germany was able to maintain its production through to about 44. So You know, Russia's got a long way to go. They're wearing them down, but very slowly. And this, of course, is deliberate. And all EU wants to do is play political games. And it's not working. The Europeans, of course, are their own worst enemies. They've allowed the left wing to fester and undermine everything worldwide. The British countering disinformation? No, they're too busy appeasing Islam. Though the counter-revolution, many people are talking about the counter-revolution is coming. And Keir Starmer is in a panic because the counter-revolutionary marches, 2-3 million. That the Pakis had a counter protest. They only had about 1,000, and the British rolled out in the millions. Keir Starmer is going to... This is what they do. They import votes. But they've lost so many votes now. And so many communities are turning against them. The Welsh, the Scottish, the Irish. See, in the past, particularly the Irish community in England, was pretty much against the Tories. And now they're realising that Labour's selling them out. You know? It is, you know, a lot of people are saying, why Ukraine? And not, you know, and the British government saying, it's our duty. And people are just sick of this self-flagellation over bending over backwards for everybody but themselves. No, bro, charity starts at home. Fuck Ukraine. They won't negotiate. They won't end a war. And no amount of sanctions on Russia are going to change the fact that Zelensky just has to sit there, cross his arms and say, no, any deal with Putin is unacceptable. And the rest, and America and England are just going to walk around going, it's Putin's fault. Well, until that mentality is addressed, until we on our side stands up and says, President Trump, Zelensky's not negotiating. What are you going to do about it? So thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe. Please support the channel because, frankly, I need your help. You can support me on Patreon, of which I have 2. Buy my books, buy my merch. All my links are in the link tree, which you can find in the description below, in my profile, or scan the QR code on the screen. Once again, thank you for your time. See you in the next video, and bye for now.